Today I'm giving my runner's review of the Plantronics Backbeat Fit 3150. 12.52 miles, 8 minutes, 2 seconds per mile, 152 beats per minute today on a chilly day in Chicago, 2 degrees Fahrenheit, making for some tough running conditions. It really was supposed to be just an easy run for today, but instead what I thought was I'd put some moderate miles in there. So 10 of those miles were at just a moderate effort, no power number or heart rate number assigned to it, just 10 moderate miles just to make the miles go a little bit faster, get myself a little bit warmer so I wouldn't be out there for quite as long and it wouldn't feel quite as cold. Overall, feeling really good. I love like long, moderate efforts like that. I know like that like zone 3 kind of workout is not really favored, but I just kind of enjoy them. They're not too hard. They're not too easy. They're kind of just right for me. So today was a lot of fun for me out there testing the Plantronics Backbeat Fit 3150. But before I get into that, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of earbuds that I purchased with my own money. No one sent them to me or is paying me to make this video, and no one's going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about the Plantronics Backbeat Fit 3150. And what we have here is a set of earbuds that's specifically designed for runners or other people that are conducting activities outside and they want to be able to hear their environment a little bit better. For the longest time, I've been trying to find ways to keep running with earbuds in, but also to do it safely. In other words, to be able to hear the environment that's around me, whether those are other runners, bicyclists, or cars. So the way that I've been approaching this problem most frequently in 2020 and 2021 is with using noise canceling earbuds that have the ability to pump in the ambient sound. But there are other ways that other types of earbuds have tried to solve this problem. Another common way is to use bone conduction. So Aftershocks is another brand of earbuds that I've tested, albeit it's been a little while since I have tested a bone conduction earbud. But the way that they work is they don't have earbuds that go in the ear. Instead, they have parts that touch your temple or your jawbone over here, and it conducts the sound in through your bones, hence bone conducting technology, and it keeps the actual ear open so naturally the sounds around you can come in. Similar to that, Bose recently announced, and I recently reviewed, the Sport Open, which is not exactly bone conduction, but it's kind of like bone conduction. Again, it leaves the ear open and it points the sound like towards the ear canal, but it's not using bone conduction technology. Those last two options, bone conduction and the open ear kind of technology of the Bose Sport Open, aren't really my favorites. They leave a lot to be desired in the sound department. That's where my review of the Backbeat Fit 3150 comes in. They have a design that reminds me a lot of like the early AirPods or the AirPods version 1 or version 2, where it's not fully blocking, like it's not clogging the ear canal. There's still some space for ambient sounds around you to get in. And also I do remember not only AirPods, but the corded, what were they called before that? Earpods? Were they called earpods? I think they were called earpods. When they were the corded, the white cord that everyone had, those also fit in the ear for me really well, but they also allowed a lot of ambient noise in, and I felt like that was also a pretty good design. It worked really well. They changed that with the AirPods Pro. That set of earbuds has active noise cancellation with a transparency or an ambient mode, but it also has more of a suction cup type of design. These earbuds are designed to not do that, very specifically designed not to do that, so that way you can hear the environment around you. And I think it does a fantastic job of letting you hear everything else around you. Unfortunately, it does kind of everything else poorly. Opening up the case, you can see that this is loop earbud design, so it's going to fit over the ear. So those of you who have a hard time with regular earbuds or AirPods falling out under your sweatiest of conditions, this is the kind of earbud that you want to be looking at. The ear loop works and it's nice and flexible, but it's so flexible that it won't kind of like stay molded to the shape of your ear, so you can't like get it to like kind of once you fit it to your ear to always fit your ear. So the last thing I'll say about the comfort though is is that when I was wearing these with a winter hat, they got uncomfortable in about 5 minutes. Like it was just pressing into my ear a little bit of a different way that made it really uncomfortable very quickly. Even when I listened to it just without a hat on, just for my regular testing, wearing them around the house, they weren't very comfortable to wear for more than like 20 to 30 minutes at a time. At that point, my ear already started to get fatigued. I think they're just a little bit too big compared to like my ear. And my ear is normally pretty normal, like stuff out of the box usually tends to fit it just fine. And it just didn't feel like these were the right fit for me. So just pretty uncomfortable all around. It's IP57, which again, it's like going back in time is going to be the overall theme for this earbud. A lot of the earbuds are coming out now, even the sport-centric ones or the self-proclaimed sport-centric ones are coming out with IPX4. IP57 is something that I definitely want to see in terms of dust and water protection. Plantronics, or the company that was called Plantronics back when this set of earbuds was originally released. Since then, Plantronics and Polycom have merged to become Poly. They're still selling these earbuds. These actually are a set of earbuds that I bought on Amazon as a refurbished unit, but they are still selling these, and there's even a Plantronics 3200, although I haven't seen any updates in 2020, so it remains to be seen what Poly does with the Backbeat Fit line of earbuds. But that company, whatever you want to call it, claims 8 hours of battery life plus an additional 16 in the case, giving you a total of 24 hours of playback time, which I think is an absolutely gigantic, gargantuan number, something that we used to see in earbuds a long time ago, but as time has been progressing, we've been getting less waterproof protection and we'll be getting less single charge playtime. So it's a refreshing blast from the past. But there are also some elements of this in terms of going back in time, experiencing earbuds from kind of an earlier age that are definitely like reminders of how far we've come. Now this set of earbuds does have programmable buttons, and the buttons are the kind where you have to like push in from the side on your earbuds, but they are physical buttons that I like. The buttons here are programmable, but only like a couple of them, like one side at a time, are programmable. There's an app, and in the app you can change which side is the programmable buttons, but you can only do a couple of things in terms of changing the buttons. You can't like remap all of the functions. You can either leave it with the default kind of like clicks and double clicks and long presses and holds to do what it does out of the box, or you can map some of the clicks, like a single tap or a double tap, to do certain things like launching a podcast or launching a playlist. You can even have it tell you the time. So let's say you're out there running, you don't want to be looking at your watch constantly, but you do want to know what time it is. You can program it to like double tap and it'll tell you what time it is or how much battery's left. So some interesting kind of options, but definitely something that all earbud manufacturers have kind of like gotten away from. So a little bit of a throwback. The other thing that's a little bit of a throwback for these is it seems like when you take them out of the case, and here's where like the review starts to get like a little bit weird, and living with them is a little bit weird. When you take them out of the case, they will tend to automatically power on. Sometimes you have to hold long press both of them at the same, or I guess you could do like one at a time, but you long press both of them to turn them on, and it powers on, and it tells you how much battery life is left in terms of battery life high, medium, or low. Those are all nice. But it's weird that like in a case where when I take them out of the case, there are conductive elements, so it can know by itself like when it is out of the case and about to be put into an ear or not, but it still kind of makes you, sometimes, it's not all the time, but sometimes makes you have to actually power them on. The other thing that's weird is when I put them back into the case, they don't power off on their own. There's no sensor to let it know like it's not in my ear. Even though there could be sensors to let it know when it's back in the charging case and clearly not being used for listening, there were times where I was listening to a podcast, come in from a run, put the earbuds in here, and I could still hear the podcast kind of like going on. You have to actually power them off when you're putting them away. So that was another kind of weird thing. Plus, the buttons, while being nice and pressable, I felt like required a little bit too much effort for something that's jabbed into the side of your ear before I can get any presses on it. I do like the fact that there was like a little confirmation sound that I would get every time I press it to let it know that it registered a press. But at the same time, I don't know if it's just that these earbuds are old or that I got a refurbished unit. This is where I'm not really sure. But like the buttons, I know what the buttons are supposed to do from the instructions, but they weren't always doing that with either my Apple Watch that I paired this to or with my phone. For example, there are certain buttons you can press to make it increase volume and certain buttons you can make it to decrease volume. The increase volume worked on my phone, the decrease volume never worked. Neither of the volume adjustment buttons worked on my Apple Watch. And so it was just a really frustrating listening experience. I feel like I had given it plenty of opportunity as well to really test out the battery life. But what would happen with these is just after a while, I try to like advance a track or do something with it, and then it would just stop playing music or podcasts and I wouldn't be able to bring it back. And so I was just running with the earbuds in, but they weren't playing any music for a lot of that time. So I just had a very frustrating user experience overall with the earbud. So finally, let's get to the sound of it all. How does it feel to run in these in terms of the sound? Running with them as far as a safety device, being able to hear everything around you, really great. I feel like I'm getting lots of ambient noise, way better than any noise canceling design could ever provide. I feel like I'm getting a really great sense of the world around me because I'm literally hearing the world around me. The cost of that, though, is that the sound on these is just really disappointing. At no point did I feel like I could get the kind of like fullness of sound that I was really looking for. It always felt kind of really hollow. It actually reminded me quite a bit of the like caliber of sound quality I was getting from bone conduction, where you're hearing sounds and it can be loud, but it's never quite loud enough. And I'm worried that there's a lot of noise bleed, that everyone else can hear what I'm listening to, and there isn't any bass. So it's just like I feel like there's a lot missing to the music or even just the podcast, the spoken word that I was listening to while I was hearing these. I just feel like I always had to have this thing cranked. For the most part, when I'm listening to stuff, I tend to stay in like the middle of range for stuff while I'm running, just because there is a lot of noise around me. And I'm running, so you gotta like kind of crank it up a little bit. But I found like for these earbuds, the Plantronics Backbeat Fit 3150, I really had to crank them up way further. So like it required like, if I had to listen to normal earbuds at like 50% volume, this I would have to been at like 75, like 85% volume, almost kind of like maxing out the volume just to get like a comfortable listening volume in the earbuds. And I think part of that is because they're further away from my ear and it's like kind of shooting the sound toward my ear rather than being in the ear canal, which again provides that safety benefit, but also kind of like just degrades the overall listening experience. So what I was hoping would be a really cheap, recommendable option for the runners out there to like go out there, snatch these up, get them while the supplies still exist. I don't know if they're making more of these. I don't think that they are making more of these. And I thought this would be the perfect option. The ear loop, like the Powerbeats Pro, the kind of open ear type design of either the early AirPods or EarPods or like the Bose Sport Open, and just a lot of comfort. But it just didn't deliver kind of on any of those options. If you are looking for something that's cheaper in the ear loop category, this I think is a pretty good option. I'm not sure that there's any other ear loop design active noise canceling earbuds that I'm aware of that are kind of in this price range. So that's, I feel like, the one kind of like category of buyer that I would recommend this for. Otherwise, I'd probably stay away from these. So those are my thoughts on the Plantronics or Poly Backbeat Fit 3150 for runners. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions. I'd love to answer them there, or better yet, please feel free to stop by the live stream that I do just about every day on YouTube, 3 p.m. Central Time. I'd love to talk to you there as well. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?